Learn how to communicate. Learn how to get along with people you disagree with. I think that's a very underlooked skill in life, is particularly in a social media driven world where people have very different views on fundamental topics. Learn how to get along with people who you disagree with. Learn how to communicate. Those would be the top two. Those are extremely high level. Like I'm not saying go learn calculus or go learn engineering, but those are timeless skills. And I think those two skills can get you pretty far in life. I look back at myself. I don't know if you had a similar example of this, but I was not a good student. My ability to do math is not any good. My grades in science were not any good whatsoever. I didn't even know it at the time. I was not really conscious that I was doing this, but learn how to communicate and don't be a jerk. Because that, for me as a writer, that was learn how to communicate as writing, and in the writing business, learn how to get along with people so you can move ahead, move your career, be nice to this person so you can move on up. I think you see that a lot. That's what worked for me.
Morgan Housel just revealed the one skill that makes more money than any college degree, and it is not what you think. Stay until the end, because what I share in the last 2 minutes will change how you see success forever. Most people think making money is about being smart. They think it is about having good grades. They think it is about knowing math or science or business. But Morgan Housel, the guy who understands money better than almost anyone, says something completely different. The first skill you need to make money is communication. Let that sink in. Not coding, not accounting, not engineering, communication. And today I am going to break down exactly what he means in a way that even a 10-year-old can understand and start using today. Here is what blew my mind when I first heard this. Morgan Housel says you can have the best idea in the world, you can have the smartest solution to a problem, you can have the most amazing product or service, but if you cannot communicate it, it is worthless. Think about that. Your idea dies in your head if you cannot explain it to someone else. Your business fails if you cannot convince customers to buy. Your career stalls if you cannot explain why you deserve a raise. Everything in life that makes money requires you to communicate value to another person, and most people are terrible at it. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had a great idea but struggled to explain it? Drop yes in the comments, because this is where most people lose money without even knowing it. Let me break down what communication really means. Most people think communication is just talking, but that is only 10% of it. Real communication is making someone else understand what is in your head. Real communication is making someone feel what you feel. Real communication is transferring your thoughts into another person's brain so clearly that they get it instantly. Morgan Housel tells a story about two people selling the exact same product. Person A has all the facts, they know every detail, they have charts and graphs and data. Person B tells a story, they paint a picture, they make you feel something. Who do you think sells more? Person B wins every single time, because humans do not buy facts. Humans buy feelings, and communication is the bridge between what you know and what others feel. So here is the first truth you need to understand. If you can explain something simply, you can sell it. If you can make someone feel understood, you can influence them. If you can tell a story that sticks, you can make money. Now here is where it gets interesting. Morgan Housel breaks communication down into 3 parts, and this is the part nobody teaches in school. First is clarity, second is emotion, third is trust. Let me explain each one in a way you will never forget. Clarity means saying what you mean in the simplest way possible. Most people use big words to sound smart. They use jargon, they use complicated sentences, and they lose people. Housel says the smartest people can explain complex things like you are 5 years old. Think about this. Can you explain what you do for work to a child? Can you explain your business idea to your grandma? Can you pitch your product in 1 sentence? If you cannot, you do not have clarity, and without clarity, nobody will give you money. Here is a test. Take whatever you are selling or offering and explain it in 10 words or less. If you cannot, you need to simplify, because confused people do not buy, confused people do not invest. Confused people do not say yes. The second part is emotion, and this is the secret that separates broke people from rich people. Facts tell, but stories sell. Morgan Housel says every successful communicator knows this. They do not just share information, they make you feel something. Let me give you an example. Imagine 2 people applying for the same job. Person A says, I have 5 years of experience and I am very qualified. Person B says 5 years ago I made a huge mistake that cost my company money and I learned a lesson that changed my entire career. Now I help companies avoid that same mistake. Who gets the job? Person B, every time, because they told a story. They made you feel their journey. They connected emotionally. And here is the truth Morgan Housel teaches. People forget facts, but they remember stories. People forget statistics, but they remember how you made them feel. So if you want to make money, stop listing your credentials. Start telling stories that create emotion. Make people see themselves in your story. Make them feel hope. Make them feel curiosity. Make them feel understood. That is how you win. The third part is trust, and this might be the most important one. Morgan Housel says you can have perfect clarity, you can have powerful emotion, but if people do not trust you, you will not make a dime. So how do you build trust through communication? First, be honest about what you do not know. Most people pretend they know everything. They fake it. They avoid admitting gaps in their knowledge. But Housel says the fastest way to build trust is to say, I do not know, but let me find out. Second, admit your mistakes quickly. Nobody trusts someone who is always right. People trust someone who owns their failures and learns from them. Third, be consistent. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you promise something, deliver it. Your words have to match your actions, because trust is not built in one conversation. Trust is built over time through consistent communication. And here's the magic. Once people trust you, they will pay you. They will invest in you. They will recommend you. Trust is the currency that makes everything else work. Now let me show you why this skill makes more money than anything else. Morgan Housel studied millionaires and billionaires, and here's what he found. The ones who made the most money were not always the smartest. They were not always the hardest workers, but they were always the best communicators. They could pitch their ideas to investors. They could sell their vision to employees. They could explain their value to customers. They could negotiate better deals. They could build relationships faster. Communication was their superpower. And here is the part that should excite you. Communication is not a talent you were born with. It is a skill you build. Anyone can learn it. You just have to practice. Let me give you 5 ways to start building this skill today. And I promise, if you do these 5 things for 90 days, people will start paying you more money. First, write every single day. I do not care what you write. Write emails, write social media posts, write in a journal, write your thoughts down, because writing forces you to clarify your thinking. If you cannot write it clearly, you cannot say it clearly. Morgan Housel says writing is thinking on paper. And the better you think, the better you communicate. Start with 100 words a day, just 100 words. Write about anything, your day, your goals, a lesson you learned. Do this for 30 days and watch how much clearer your thoughts become. Second, practice explaining complex things simply. Take something you know well, your job, your hobby, a skill you have. Now explain it to someone who knows nothing about it. Use simple words, no jargon, no technical terms, just plain language. This is hard at first, but it is the fastest way to build clarity. Morgan Housel does this exercise with everything. He takes complex financial concepts and explains them like bedtime stories. That is why millions of people understand his work. That is why he gets paid to speak. That is why his books sell millions of copies, because he mastered the art of simple explanation. Third, study great communicators. Watch how they structure their sentences. Listen to how they pause. Notice how they use stories instead of facts. Morgan Housel recommends studying people like Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, not because you agree with them, but because they know how to move people with words. Watch their speeches, read their letters, break down what makes their communication so powerful, then practice using those same techniques. You do not need to copy them. You need to learn the principles and make them your own. Fourth, get comfortable with silence. Most people talk too much. They fill every gap with words. But Morgan Housel says the best communicators know when to stop talking. They make their point and they shut up. They let the message land. They give people time to process. Learn to pause after important statements. Let your words breathe. Silence creates emphasis. Silence builds tension. Silence makes people lean in. If you talk nonstop, nothing you say feels important. But if you pause strategically, every word carries weight. Fifth, ask better questions. Communication is not just about talking, it is about listening. And the best way to listen is to ask questions that make people think. Instead of asking, "How are you?" ask, "What is the best thing that happened to you today?" Instead of asking, "Do you like this?" ask, "What would make this better for you?" Morgan Housel says, great communicators are great question askers because questions show you care. Questions make people feel heard. Questions open doors that statements cannot. And when people feel heard, they trust you. And when they trust you, they give you opportunities. And opportunities lead to money. Here is what most people miss. Communication is not about being loud. It is not about having a big personality. It is not about being extroverted. Some of the best communicators are quiet. They just know how to make every word count. They know how to connect. They know how to make others feel seen and understood. Morgan Housel himself is not a loud person, but his words reach millions because he mastered the skill, and you can too. So let me bring this all together. Morgan Housel says the first skill to make money is communication because money flows to people who can clearly express value. Money flows to people who can emotionally connect. Money flows to people who build trust through their words. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you cannot communicate your intelligence, nobody will know. You can have the best product in the world, but if you cannot communicate its value, nobody will buy. You can have amazing ideas, but if you cannot communicate them, they die with you. Communication is the key that unlocks everything else. And the beautiful part is you can start today. Write 100 words, explain something simply, study someone great, practice pausing, ask better questions, do this every day for 90 days, and watch what happens. Your emails get better responses, your ideas get heard, your presentations land, your pitches close, your career accelerates, your income grows. All because you learn to communicate. So here is my challenge for you. In the comments right now, explain in one sentence what you do or what you want to do. Practice that clarity. Practice that simplicity. And let me see if I can understand it immediately. If I cannot, simplify it more. This is your first step. Also, smash that like button if this made sense to you. Subscribe because I break down more insights like this every single week. And share this video with someone who has great ideas but struggles to explain them. You might just change their life. Because Morgan Housel is right. Communication is not just a skill. It is the first skill. Master it and money will follow. See you in the next one.